like to reintroduce Dr. Wildcat. We are very happy to have Dr. Wildcat here. It is very important to have dialogue around contemporary issues that affect natives. Dr. Wildcat's work is important not only because he looks at environmental issues that affect all of us, but because he encourages us to think outside of the box, to reconnect with our cultural knowledge in order to help us in the future. So with further ado, Dr. Wildcat.
Thank you. I think I could probably do away with the microphone. I think you'll be able to pick me up on
No, I need to record it.
Oh, okay. I'll leave this. I'll leave this at this length so we get it for the film. Yes, as my Muskogee relative would say, Madao. As my Hawaiian friends would say, mahalo. I think we've got just an extraordinary, have witnessed an extraordinary day here. I want to really say, I said earlier, I really wanted to be here for this because I don't think there's a more important discussion to have right now than the discussion about really native perspectives on landscapes. I think the knowledge is provided within native traditions, living traditions, by the way. I don't mean something that's back in the past. I mean right here, right now, where we're sitting, where we're standing. I think everything I want to say has been said in one way or another. So let me make 4 quick points to sort of wrap this incredible event up. Before I make those points, I do want to suggest one thing to Phoenicia. I think if it's at all possible, the quality of work and the ideas that were presented here, there should be an effort to do a proceedings document. Some people have papers. Some people, maybe we can ask them to put together, contribute their PowerPoint, do whatever. But this needs to be shared widely. Because I tell you what, there's I come away from this with tremendous hope about the future. So, point 1, power plus place equals personality. This was the way my mentor, Deloria Jr., summed it up. And we've had that in ACES today, in ACES today. ACES, I think, is all about that too, I hope, the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. What does that formula mean? Okay, I'll give you a Vine's shorthand version of this, okay? And we could spend hours talking about each of these. But the first one is power. So what do we mean when we talk about power? We have talked about this all day long. Power is the relationships that you are engaged in, that you are situated in, that you are participating, that you are a receiver, a receptor of, and power is all of that that surrounds you in the social world, in the physical world, yes, in the spiritual world too. When we talk about spirituality, my sense of it would be that I've had the good fortune being at Haskell Indian Nations University to work with a lot of different Native peoples. Probably some of your relatives, some of you people in this room have probably worked with some of your relatives at some point in time. Maybe. I don't know. Any given semester we have over 100 nations represented, including Alaska villages at Haskell. Usually any given semester from 35 to 1 year we had, I think, 44 of the states of the United States represented. Native peoples coming from 44 states. It's sort of like the United Nations of higher education. All native. One thing that seems indisputable is we don't suffer from this invidious kind of dualism or dichotomy between here and now and the physical and the spiritual. We find the sacred in the lived experience. We find the sacred in the land, in the air, in the water, in the plants, in the animals. That's an incredible power. That's an incredible power you are participating in. That's off the table. My friend Henrietta Mann, a Southern Cheyenne woman who spent most of her professional career in Montana, likes to say, with us, with Native peoples, and all of humankind, really, some have just forgotten this, we never have issues or arguments about the sacred, about spirit, because we know we come into this world as spirits. Our challenge is to figure out how to be competent human beings. That's what we're struggling with. How can we become competent, mature human beings? And so out of this power, these relationships, comes something that you've heard before, and I'll give you the shorthand version. I heard it first stated by Warren Lyons at the 25th anniversary birthday, and that is, we don't live in a world full of resources. We live in a world full of relatives. So that slight little shift in your thinking, in your view, try that on for size. How would the world be differently if we could convince our brothers and sisters on this planet to live as if we are surrounded by relatives and not resources? I think that's very powerful. Those relatives, that power changes as you move around the planet. I love my Hawaiian brothers and sisters. They've taught me so much. One, their enthusiasm, their energy. You know, yeah, they've got some great lessons to share, to teach. And their lessons, you know, are about where they live and how we live well. My relatives from Anishinaabe people from the Great Lakes, they have lessons too. But it's about that place. The beautiful part of places and power, and the reason we combine those two, is because when we put those together, then we understand, with the diversity of the landscapes and the seascapes of this beautiful blue-green planet, we understand why it's natural to have a diversity of human cultures, of human peoples. We're not one size fits all. And we've got to disabuse those who would like us to live and behave like it's one size fits all on this planet. The planet is a beautiful, biological, geological, geographic sphere of diversity, this life system. And we can think about the cosmos and our small part in that. Power plus place equals personality. Vine wanted to always emphasize the fact that each of us, we are all unique. We all have special gifts. I really like this theme again, and Josh hit on it so well. Here's the good news. If we had more time, and I wish we did, but if we had more time and we could sit in a circle, we could just visit. Not one day, not 2 days, not 3 days, 4 days. Maybe we just go on till we know that we're relatives. We learn a lot about each other. Everyone in this room has some knowledge that would make me a better human being if I had a chance to sit and visit with you long enough. Because you know something I don't. You've had experiences I don't. In Indian country, if you'll pardon the phrase, we hate know-it-alls. Man, know-it-alls, if you find a know-it-all, you turn the other way. Because you can't know it all. That's why we need our families. That's why we need our relatives. I've heard that message here today. That's not trivial. We are unique. Power plus place equals personalities at an individual level and then at a cultural level with our peoples. I think it's a beautiful way to start a discussion. So here are my 4 points. Point 1, keep that little formula in mind. Play around with it. Think about what that means. It's just what my academic friends would call it's just a heuristic device. It's a way to kind of make you keep remembering something that you're inclined to forget. Power plus place equals personality. Point 2. If you really take relationships and relatives seriously, then, and again, Josh said it, I forget who else said it, several people said it today. Maybe Sybil said it, I just heard it so many times. We live in a world where the legal, rational construction of law and the institutions we move through are completely fixated on rights. Well, at the grounds of the Zoyah, at our ceremonial grounds in northeastern Oklahoma, I've never heard an elder get up and talk about rights. What I've heard them talk about are inalienable responsibilities. We need to balance out inalienable rights with the inalienable responsibilities humankind has. We have responsibilities. If you live among relatives, you do. It's not about your right to use resources. It's about, are you showing competent, mature human behavior in exercising responsibility in how you relate to the earth, the air, and the water. We move from systems totally preoccupied with this mistaken notion of a world full of resources for us to use, humankind, to improve, to control, to a world where we ask ourselves, how can we live well among relatives in a cooperative fashion in this world? How can we move from a system fixated with inalienable individual rights to one with inalienable human responsibilities and obligations? Now, the third point is the following. I'm growing very critical of the use of the term sustainability, because everyone now is in favor of sustainability. Shell, BP, everyone is telling you they're in favor of sustainability. I want to know what you want to sustain. I don't think there are a lot of systems that I think we should probably promote the dismantling of. So what I've adopted, again, it's the term of the day, it's the term du jour, resiliency. But I would take resiliency in a very narrow kind of definition, if you will, and that is, what does it mean to be resilient? Well, that's what all of your ancestors did before they had smartphones, before they had laptops, before they had telephones, before they had cars. They knew how to adapt in situations where there was a high degree of uncertainty. That's exactly the world we live in today. We need to create institutions that are resilient, that are highly adaptive. So I would say, let's move away from sustainability. In my view, that's been co-opted. Let's think about the resiliency of peoples on this planet. Capital P. Peoples. Now, at this point, people are inclined sometimes to think, oh, this guy's got a great negative critique of everything. What are you for? Well, I thought about that a lot. And this would be my fourth point. It's a lot easier to have to convince people when you cannot just be against something, but you can tell them what you're for. And so I've decided what I am for is as many radical experiments, these what I call exercises of indigenuity, which result in life enhancement. I don't mean our lives, I mean the land, the air, the water, the plant. Can we live in such a way that everywhere we go, humans go, some humans, we inevitably see a decline in water quality, we see a decline in soil quality, we see a decline in air quality, and I say, you betcha, look at my Hawaiian brothers and sisters. Look at my Anishinaabe sisters and brothers up in the Great Lakes. Look at my Dakota speaking brothers up in the northern plains. We have ideas, we have philosophies, we have practical knowledges we need to apply today, and we need to promote. We need to forget progress. I saw a book, it was called Against Civilization. And it had, the usual suspects, a lot of anarchists and, neo-Luddites, against civilization. I really get where they're coming from. But against civilization, for what? Okay? We need more than a negative critique. So what we need is something positive. And what I think the problem is that we've got to shift again it's not really a big shift, it's a slight shift. You just kind of change your angle a little bit, and all of a sudden you realize there are tremendous opportunities to create systems, physical systems, mechanical systems, electrical systems, infrastructure systems, wherein we say it's not good enough to make these systems serve our comfort and convenience and capital accumulation, profit. What we need to do is to say, have I built a home? Have I built a community? Do I have a family? Do I have a nation where the relatives that our lives depend on are treated with respect, honored, so that we can all live well? I don't think that's romantic. I don't think that's romantic at all. I call that Indigenous realism. The most romantic mythology of the modern world is somehow that humans are in control. And so long as we think that, we're headed for big trouble. We're not in control. We have a tremendous influence on the planet, but we're not in control. Indigenous knowledge systems, just what you can do right now. Start paying attention when you walk outside the door to the birds, plants, animals. Pay attention. Pay attention to the spaces that you're in. Again, as the last speaker, the photographer, what was her name? Camille. This is all of the earth, all of this. But it's been so highly modified and mediated, we don't pay attention to where this came from. We should. We should pay attention. And we should ask ourselves how much of this we need to live well. So here's the hopeful part. There is work for everyone. There is work for everyone. We need social workers, we need teachers, we need psychologists, we need business entrepreneurs, we need engineers, we need scientists, we need philosophers, we need painters, we need musicians, we need... This is all our work. See, because we're unique human beings. I can't do what Josh does. I wouldn't try. He's got a gift. Okay? He's got a gift. Each of you has a gift. Like he said, find that which moves you. but I'm going to argue moves you to think about moving from systems that seem to promote destruction and death. I don't know any other way to say it. To promote destruction and death to systems of life enhancement. And let's pay attention now to what Indigenous people have to say, because I think there's tremendous wisdom, there's tremendous insight in our intellectual traditions, in our practices, in our cultures, in our songs, in our ceremonies. It's up to each people to determine what they will share and what they won't. That's their call. I'm not arguing, making any claim there. But when they talk, we should listen. Oh, that was a book Vine wrote in 1972. We talk, you listen. I think maybe we've come to the point now where people are ready to listen. I hope so. I think this was a great event today. I'm so glad that Phoenicia allowed me to come and be a part of this. I have hope. I have hope when I look in your eyes, when I look in your eyes, when I look in the eyes of you two young ladies. You know, they always say, look to the elders. Well, I've had more than a few tell me, hey, we look in your eyes to see the future. And I have hope. After what I heard today, after what I saw today, the incredible work that's being done. So Phoenicia, we got to find some way to do a little publication of proceedings. Yeah. We really do. We need to document what happened today. So again, I just give a big thanks to all my relatives here. I've got good relatives here in the Bay Area. I hadn't been here in 20 years, 25 years, and now I've been back here twice in 3 months. And I like it. I've been paying attention. It feels good. It feels good. So, to all the organizers, everyone who made this possible, again, without, thank you. See, I was so perfectly clear. Yeah, what can I say? That would be the first time if that ever happened.
Okay, well, thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Wildcat, thank you, Josh, thank you, everybody, for coming. I guess we'll wrap up. I think Dr. Wildcat and Josh will be around for a little while.
Yeah, I'm going to hang around. I'd love to visit with people.
Visit with them. Thank you, everybody.